All right, ready to dive in. Today we're looking at what makes each of us tick, what makes us different. All about individual differences.
It's a fascinating area, really, and we've got a ton of your research to dig into.
Yeah, we're talking intelligence, personality, the whole shebang. But first, I gotta ask some of these early theories on intelligence. Kind of out there, right?
Oh, absolutely. Like that whole thing with measuring skulls.
Yeah, wasn't that Galton?
That's the one. Brilliant guy. But he was convinced intelligence was all about sensory stuff, reflexes, even head size.
Wild, right. Thank goodness we've moved on. So how did we get from measuring biceps to understanding intelligence as we know it now?
Well, Spearman came along and said, hold on, intelligence can't be just one thing, right? He gave us this idea of a general factor, the G factor, for overall smarts. But he said there are also specific abilities that differ in everyone.
So multiple kinds of intelligence already. Tell me more.
Exactly. Think of it like this fluid intelligence. That's your on-your-feet thinking, like solving a brand new puzzle. That's usually sharpest when we're younger. Then there's crystallized intelligence, the stuff you learn over time, like how to handle a tricky social situation. You probably got better at that as you got older, right?
Makes sense. So that's why my little brother's great at Sudoku, but I'm the one he calls for advice.
You got it. And there's even more to it than that. Robert Sternberg, with his triarchic theory, he said intelligence comes in 3 flavors. Analytical, that's problem solving, book smarts, creative thinking outside the box, new ideas, and practically your street smarts, how well you adapt to anything.
I love that. It means everyone's intelligent in their own way, not just one right way.
Absolutely. And we can't forget Howard Gardner. His multiple intelligences theory totally shook things up. He said we have separate intelligences for music, language, spatial reasoning, even understanding other people's interpersonal intelligence.
So you could be a musical genius but struggle with math, and both are equally valid. So we've covered how people think differently, but what about how we just are different? I want to talk about personality.
Oh, personality, yeah. It's a big one. And it's more complicated than people think. It's not just like he's got a great personality.
Exactly. It's deeper than just being nice or whatever. So in psychology, how do you actually define personality?
It's those patterns we have, the ones that stick around, the ways we think, feel, and act. That's personality. It's how we deal with the world, relationships, jobs, all that.
Now, my research mentioned this Big Five thing. Is that one of these patterns?
It is. It's huge in personality research. Basically, it says 5 big dimensions can tell us a lot about someone's personality.
5. What are they?
Openness to new experiences, conscientiousness, how organized you are. Then there's extroversion, are you outgoing or more laid back? Agreeableness, and finally, neuroticism, how much you worry.
Ocean. Catchy. But can just 5 things really sum up all of someone's personality?
Well, no, not every little detail. But tons of research shows these 5 traits, they pop up everywhere, across cultures. It's a really good framework, for understanding ourselves and others.
Okay, so where do these traits come from? Are we born with them, or do they change as we grow?
The million-dollar question. It's the whole person-situation debate. Is it our personality that dictates things, or is it the situation we're in?
Like nature versus nurture, but for who we are.
Exactly. And like most things in psychology, it's both. Our genes give us a starting point, our tendencies. But our environment, what we go through, the choices we make, that shapes us too.
So it's not like we're stuck with one personality forever. We can grow and change.
For sure. Our core traits, they usually stay pretty steady as adults. But we're not robots. We learn new ways to handle things, new skills, and we can make choices that affect how our personality shows up.
That's a relief. But then why bother understanding it all? If it can change, what's the practical use?
Oh, glad you asked. Because understanding your personality, your good and bad points, your tendencies, it helps you. It's like having the instruction manual for your own mind.
Okay, now that's helpful. Tell me more.
For example, say you're introverted. You probably need some alone time to recharge after being social. That's not bad. It's just you. And knowing that helps you make choices that are good for you, like scheduling some quiet time after a big party.
So you're working with your personality, not fighting against it?
You got it. It's all about knowing yourself and accepting yourself. And when you get yourself, it's easier to get other people too. More empathy, more understanding in relationships.
Right. So if someone's naturally cautious, it's not a judgment. It's just how they see the world.
Exactly. And when you start with that understanding, communication gets so much better.
This is blowing my mind. I'm already looking at myself and everyone else differently. But there's one more piece we need to talk about: values. You were saying they're crucial for truly getting someone. One of the sources I read had this great analogy for values. It said values are like our internal compass showing us what's important. What do you think?
Totally. Values really do point us in the right direction in life. They're those beliefs we hold deep down about right and wrong, what's worth fighting for.
So when we talk about someone's values, it's like a whole system of these beliefs, right?
Yeah, exactly. We each build this value system, our own ranking of what matters most. For some people, it might be achievement, getting recognition. For others, maybe it's creativity or compassion or family above all else.
And these values aren't just ideas in our heads, they actually affect how we live, right?
Oh, absolutely. Values influence everything. Our relationships, our careers, the causes we support, even how we spend our free time. They're a driving force behind our big decisions and the small ones.
Like a framework for making choices that feel true to ourselves.
Exactly. And when we live by those values, things just feel right. There's a sense of being genuine. But when our actions go against our values, that's when we get that icky feeling like something's off.
Yeah, that inner voice saying, this doesn't feel good. So how do we figure out what our own values are?
Good question. It takes some real soul searching. Think about the times you felt most yourself, most fulfilled. What was important to you then? What values were driving those experiences? On the flip side, when did you feel that off feeling, like something was wrong? Which of your values might have been compromised in those situations?
Wow, that's actually a really helpful exercise,
Yeah.
looking for patterns in your own life to see those values underneath.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to branch out. Read about different philosophies. Have deep talks with people you admire. That can spark a lot of insight, help you really pinpoint what matters to you.
This whole deep dive has been amazing. We've gone from the history of intelligence to all the ins and outs of personality, and now uncovering the power of values. I'm feeling really inspired to keep learning.
That's what we like to hear. It's all about embracing that journey of self-discovery and remembering each of us is this unique mix of intelligence, personality, values. It's what makes us who we are.
It's about celebrating that beautiful complexity of being human in ourselves and everyone around us.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It's those differences that make life interesting.
So true. Well, listeners, that wraps up our deep dive into the world of individual differences. We've covered a ton today, but it's just the beginning. Keep exploring, keep asking questions, keep embracing what makes you, why you, and keep appreciating the amazing tapestry of humanity all around us.